I was just trying to enjoy a nice mental health break from YouTube, and Ballistic Moon Studios decided, nah, let's just drop a bunch of Until Dawn information. So yes, Until Dawn, the remake, has gotten a lot of new information yesterday. There's a lot that we have to go into and talk about, and I've chosen 10 of the major details from, this trailer and a little blog post that they put out to put together into this one video to kind of give you all the information we learned over this past day. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely do drop a like and subscribe, all that fun stuff down below. Check out Friday's video if you haven't. That video needs help. Needs a lot of your guys' support, so please go and give it a watch if you can, if you want, if Life is Strange is interesting for you. And without any further ado, let's get into the 10 things we learned about Until Dawn. This first point isn't really a new thing, but we got to see how much they've really worked on this year, and that is the absolute visual overhaul that this game got. We got to see direct comparisons from Until Dawn on the PS4 to Until Dawn on the PS5, and honestly, I think there's a lot of things here that are very apparent. I mean, just looking between the games, we see how different the lighting is, how much more attention to detail was put into the texture work, and certain things with the animations. And it really seems like Ballistic Moon Studios went through with a fine-tooth comb to get all the little weird kinks and quirks about the animation and stuff from the original Until Dawn out. They've even added ray tracing to the game. Now, honestly, ray tracing isn't something that particularly tickles my fancy. It's not something I care about, but for those of you who like your ray tracing and realistic graphics, then this game seems to have all of that in spades for you. So, we know that Jason Graves, the original composer for Until Dawn, unfortunately is not returning to compose the soundtrack for the remake. It's actually being handed off to completely different people, and we got a little taste of what the new music is going to sound like in this trailer. And yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. I'd say that, the music is probably in safe hands. I mean, the little bit that we got to hear in the trailer honestly does sound pretty good. I am actually genuinely impressed. I really hope the rest of the game's soundtrack will live up to what Jason Graves did before. So, I mean, they got big shoes to fill, so I really hope they can do it. So, we knew that they were going to update the camera controls to be more modern, and we didn't really know exactly what that meant, but we got to see it in action here. Basically, the camera is closer to the character, and you have full 360-degree movement. Now, this actually falls kind of in line with what Supermassive Games have done with The Quarry and The Devil in Me from the Dark Pictures anthology, where it's more of a free camera. It's not like a strict camera placement that kind of vaguely follows your character. It's complete freedom of movement, getting to look around, and even getting to look at your character model a little more closely and in depth, and I really do like this approach. I feel like the stationary camera has its charm, and it does add a little bit to the spookiness and the element of the unknown, but I do like having full control of my movement and of the camera, and I'm assuming that'll help with some of the awkward controls as well, and sometimes the awkward depth perception. So, we got the name of some new collectibles that you're going to be seeing in the environment. Now, for those of you who've played Until Dawn, we obviously all know the totems. You find the totems throughout the game, and they'll give you little premonitions into what could potentially happen in the future, depending on the choices you make. Well, apparently, there's going to be a new type of totem added, called the Hunger Totem. Now, the Hunger Totem, we have absolutely no clue what these totems are going to be. Because as we know, every single type of totem kind of lends to a certain type of premonition, depending on the color of the totem. But with the Hunger Totems, we don't really know what kinds of premonitions these will give. And also, I should mention, speaking of the older totems, every single totem location apparently has been changed. So totems are no longer in the same spots that they were in the original game. You're going to have to go out and look for them in newer spots, and this includes new locations that you get to explore. So pretty cool stuff with the totems. I really hope the hunger totems add some really cool new premonitions that might include some stuff that we didn't get to see or experience in the original game. Alright, so this one I had kind of predicted. This isn't quite new, but it wasn't something that they had said until now. The prologue has been completely reworked. Basically for pacing reasons. They wanted this to be a more solid introduction to the Washingtons, obviously specifically Josh, Hannah, and Beth. They wanted them to have a little more screen time. So, the whole section in the beginning, including the prank and Hannah and Beth running into the woods, will be longer and have a little more substance to them. And that apparently includes the prank itself. There will be more context added for the prank, so maybe we'll get more scenes with some of the other characters as well, and how they interact with Hannah and Beth, because we don't really see that, honestly, at all. So it'll be really interesting to see all the characters interact in a different way that we hadn't seen before. I will point out here, with the extended prologue, there was actually one shot in the trailer that I did think was really interesting that was obviously from the prologue, and it's a scene of, I'm assuming it's Beth, or Hannah in Beth's jacket, running away, and you see something on fire right in front of them. This scene I don't believe was in the original game, and of course we do have the scene from the last trailer that shows Beth sneaking around outside the cabin. So I do think we'll have more playtime with Beth, and maybe we'll get to see a little more of her out in the woods. Maybe she'll have a little more of an interaction with the flamethrower guy. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm really excited to actually get to play a little more as Beth and see a little more context into, you know, the night of Hannah and Beth's disappearance. This is going to be really, really cool. Don't Move segments are back, baby. That's right. The Don't Move segments that were originally in Until Dawn and kind of made the game what it is in its own sort of way, they are back. In my last video talking about Until Dawn, I completely thought that they were not going to do the Don't Move segment, simply because of the fact that the PC, you know, even though yes, you can have the PlayStation controller, you know, there's a lot of controllers out there that don't have the gyro support, so I thought they're just going to axe it completely. But no, the Don't Move segments are retained. They are not going anywhere. But to alleviate, you know, the potential questions of, well, what about non-gyro controllers, or just people who don't want to do the Don't Move segments, well, they are adding these segments called Stay Calm segments. Now, that might sound familiar if you play the Dark Pictures anthology games, where there are the Keep Calm segments. The Keep Calm segments, as I mentioned in my last video, but I'll mention it again here in case you're new. Subscribe if you haven't done so, by the way. They're segments where you have to tap the A button or potentially Y button or whatever controller you have to keep up with a heartbeat. It's basically a timing thing where you have to press the right button at the right time or you will be caught. I'm actually really glad that they added this in because it is equally as tense sitting there gripping your controller trying to time your button presses. It's equally as tense. Maybe not as hard as the Don't Move segments, but a great alternative for people who do not have motion controls or do not want to have to hold your controller still. You know, it's a really great option, and I think it is a great addition. Building off of that last point, there's actually going to be other things that you could tweak as well, turn on and off, like accessibility settings. Now, they don't really go into what these accessibility settings are, but my assumption is that they're going to do things to make the game obviously easier. Maybe different things with the lighting, maybe different things with glowing objects, you know, giving you hints on where things are. Maybe there's going to be things to decrease, you know, certain phobias, because I know like there's like arachnophobia modes in a lot of games, so there could be a lot of that. And as long as they're optional, I don't mind. So that's going to be really, really cool for people who might need certain accommodations for them when they play this game. Again, this is something I noticed last time, but we get to see it a little bit more here, where camera angles and movements and all that are actually completely different than they were in the original Until Dawn. Not every shot is one-to-one with what it was in the original game. Some are. Some shots are one-to-one. You put them next to each other and you can tell, okay, they're definitely the same scene. but there's other scenes that are angled differently to where it looks a little bit different. And I'm actually kind of excited to see all the different angles and different things they chose to do stylistically to make this stand apart from the original Until Dawn. And some of the cutscenes themselves actually are tweaked a little bit. We see that they actually did change some of the animations and some of the way the characters interact, and I think it looks really, really good. The one thing I'm wondering, though, is that we do see one of these new cutscenes in action, kind of, which is a cutscene from the prologue of the game where Emily is walking with Mike, and there's a little scene where Mike speaks that I feel like doesn't quite look super polished, but I'm wondering if this is just a new animation that just isn't polished yet because of the fact that this scene, that little angle of Mike wasn't in the original Until Dawn. So I'm hoping that they kind of clean that up a little bit. It's not a deal breaker. It's one scene that didn't look super polished out of the whole freaking trailer, but it was worth pointing out. Next up, this builds off of the last point about scenes being changed and all that. Apparently, that also extends to the death scenes. Apparently, most, if not all, of the death scenes have been updated in some sort of way to benefit from the fact that the PS5 and PCs nowadays are way more powerful than the PS4 was back in 2014 or 15, whenever the original Until Dawn came out. There's more accurate fluid movement, I'm assuming specifically with the blood, you know, like having blood come out of the bodies in a certain way that makes it look more realistic. There's also apparently this thing called the injury mask system, which makes things like realistic cuts, bruises, scrapes, snow and water effects, all of that affects, you know, the main characters, their clothing, their bodies, and it's just a visual difference to make it different from the original game. So I am excited to see how all of this affects how the characters look. I will say also the characters in this trailer do look really, really good. Specifically, we get a better look at Mike and Ashley, are the two characters I really noticed the most from this trailer. And I think they both look really good. I love their updated models. And I will say I actually have warmed up to Emily. We do see her a few times in this trailer. She's the one character from the previous trailers that I wasn't overly impressed with how she looked, but seeing her in this trailer, she looks completely fine. So I think there's just going to be some scenes where maybe she just looks a little bit off because of the angle of the camera. I don't know. I mean, there was that one scene I mentioned earlier with Mike where I think he also looks a little bit funky, but like I said, they can polish this. And lastly, and the most important detail, is this game's release date got revealed to be Friday, October 4th. That is really exciting. Another October release. I'm freaking drowning in October releases. I mean, we've got Life is Strange Double Exposure, we got Super Mario Party Jamboree, and we got Silent Hill 2. 3 games I was already excited for in October. Now you're adding Until Dawn Remake on top of that? Freaking insane. Freaking insane. But nevertheless, I am super excited for this game. And also, it launches simultaneously on the PS5 and PC. So, if you only have PC, you don't have to worry about waiting an extra length of time to be able to play Until Dawn. Though, keep in mind that a PlayStation Network account is required. So, you do need a PSN account to, you know, log in to access the game, you know, if, you know, you're playing it on PC. So, keep that in mind. I know there's a lot of controversy with some of Sony's recent games coming to PC because of the fact that you need a PSN account, so keep that in mind. So there you have it, guys. Those are 10 new details from the Until Dawn remake that we have gotten, yesterday. Let me know what you're most excited for with this remake. I think it looks freaking great. I cannot wait to play it. Only a couple short months away, less than that even, like a month and a half away-ish. It's going to be a great time, and I cannot wait to play it. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff down below. And hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I upload videos. And, of course, until next time, you guys, I will see you all in the next video.